Let's bring in Anthony Scaramucci now. He's managing partner at Skybridge Capital, of course, the host here at the SALT conference, the first that you've had now in New York. Thanks for having us.
Great. You were great this morning with Scott Gottlieb. Scott, so thank you. It was great.
Gottlieb, I told him on the stage, I said, you being here is as much the good housekeeping seal of approval as anything. It speaks to the risk of putting a conference like this on right now in New York.
So over the summer, there was a debate about doing it, and obviously we talked to Scott, and I appreciate your introduction, frankly. And he laid out a protocol and a procedure that he thought would make us all healthy and safe, and we implemented that procedure textbook. Of course, we won't know for a few days, obviously, how these things work, but we had very strict regiment of vaccine mandates in all venues here at the new Javits Center. So I think it's going to be fine, and I think we're going to have to live with COVID. That's what you asked Scott that question today. Is this with us? He said it is, and so we have to figure out a way to get back to normal lives, but following a health and safety standard and protocol, and we certainly tried to do that here.
So let's kind of move the conversation beyond COVID and you holding the conference about what your takeaway is from what you've heard from the biggest name guests, including many big investors like Ray Dalio, for example,
Sure.
who was speaking here, among others. Stephen Cohen was here, Dan Loeb. Mark Lasry is going to be a little bit later. What's you always come away with a takeaway of sort of the general state of the world. Yeah. What is it this year?
Yeah, Mark's going to talk about sports later today, but he talked yesterday about his portfolio. The theme from Steve, Dan, and Mark is that they're continuing to expand into private equity, venture. A lot of guys that didn't understand Bitcoin got to understand it. Ray also, despite his comments today, he owns Bitcoin. Steve, Dan, all of these guys have made investments moving into the crypto space. You know that Skybridge now has about $700 million in crypto. We're starting an Algorand fund, which was announced here. We're capping that fund at $250 million. We already have over $100 million raised for that fund. And so I think that's a big thing. Crypto's here to stay. If the regulators are going to regulate it, Scott, they got to do it very, very quickly, because before long there'll be 200 million users in the United States, pension fund holders, retirees. And I would tell the regulators, this is a lot like Uber. The regulators wanted to knock Uber out of business, but the people wanted Uber, and the people won. So if they're going to regulate it, as the rhetoric is being spoken about, they better do it quickly.
All right, well, you mentioned both Ray Dalio, Bridgewater. He talked to Andrew about crypto, but so too did the chief regulator,
Gary Gensler,
yes. The SEC. I want you to listen to what he said today on CNBC earlier, and we can react on the other side. Let's listen.
I look forward to further engagement with the companies in this space and the market participants. And it's really about how we bring basic investor protection to protect people against fraud and manipulation. And this is an area that's been rife with fraud and abuse.
Rife with fraud and abuse. That doesn't sound like somebody who's ready to have a party for crypto.
You know, listen, I'm not in love with the comment, but I also appreciate Gary's position as SEC chairman. He's got a lot of people in the Congress that don't fully understand it. There's a lot of negativity. I would implore people like a Senator Elizabeth Warren to come to a conference like this and sit with people in the industry so that you can understand what the protocols actually are and how they're going to make the unbanked banks, Scott. And so I think he's saying that to his audience, and I appreciate that.
But you have to believe that he understands crypto as well as anybody, don't you?
I do, and I listen to...
He's not looking for, you know, the pulpit of a soundbite to send around like some of the senators maybe you referenced.
But I've also listened to 12 of the 24-hour lessons that he had on his crypto course at MIT, and I know what he said about Sylvia Macaulay, who invented Algorand. He recognizes that this is going to be a very big part of our future. He was signaling yesterday he would love to get some guidance from the Congress. You guys write the laws. Tell me directionally where you want to go. I think I admire him due to his caution. I get the rhetoric. He was right about that many years ago. Mike Morrell wrote a white paper recently that said, wait, a lot of that stuff is no longer the case as it relates to fraud. In fact, on the Colonial Pipeline transaction, the FBI, I think, secured $2.3 billion of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, after the ransomware attack. And so I think what we're learning is it's not there as much as it was in the past. And I think we got to get everybody up the curve in terms of the education. That's what I like about what we did today. And the last couple of days, we bridged people from the institutional community into this space and to try to get them more comfortable. And I just tell people, listen, please try to understand it. Light up the fire of your intellectual curiosity. If you don't want to invest in it, have a compelling reason why, not some jingoism or sound bites.